All right, so if you apply any of these five Stoic laws, you will learn and you will gain respect from people, from anyone. All right. And this applies for relationships, this applies for business, this applies to every single area of life. And if you find yourself in a life situation where people don't respect your opinion, where people don't respect what you have to say, then most likely you must be breaking one of these laws. So let's begin with one of these, right? The first one is that you got to know yourself. Knowing yourself is one of the only things in life that is an end in and of itself. Now, what does that mean? Is that knowing yourself is an end in and of itself. Because what you have to know, one of the things that you have to know the most is knowing what are you willing to accept and what are you willing to not accept from people. You got to have your boundaries. Every country has a boundary. Every living organism has a boundary between itself and the outside world. That's how you know an organism is living, if it has boundaries between itself and the outside world, right? That's what organisms is. That's what social circles are. Cultures are that. Cultures are things that have a social force that creates a barrier between itself and the outside world. So if you don't know what you're willing to accept and what you're not willing to accept, you're gonna gain that knowledge when the moment comes. And usually when the moment comes is when you're at a high emotional state. And that emotional state usually means maybe you're hurt, maybe you are offended, maybe you feel down. And as a result, you start creating standards based on how you feel, and that's not good. You got to set standards with consequences when you're in a rational state of mind. So what does that mean? You got to know what's considered, what type of actions are considered disrespectful and what types of actions are not considered disrespectful. And then you got to know what are the consequences for the disrespectful actions. You got to have a mental, like almost like a policy at a job where if you're late 3 times, you're fired, even if you're my friend. And so once you gain this knowledge and you permanently promise to yourself that if somebody breaks these standards, you're going to punish them for it. Now, that doesn't mean you punish them by whipping them and shit, right? Come on, man. This is not Kunta Kinte. What you do is saying, okay, if somebody is continually late to our meetups, then I'm just going to eventually, after 3 times, let them know that I don't like that and communicate that. If somebody talks bad in front of my friends and family, I'm going to let them know that I took offense to that so that they can then not do it again. But if they do it again, then you're going to have another level of consequences, right? Make sure the consequences fit the crime and make sure that you're willing to follow through. What happens when you do that is that having an understanding that if somebody does something disrespectful to you, that you're willing to fight for yourself, it marinates your senses. It changes the way you look at people. It changes the way you communicate. It changes your posture. It changes your whole vibe when you internally have your hand on your sword and you don't put your weapons down, not even for friends. That changes your whole composure. And if you're not willing to stand up for yourself, what you're sending is a sign of weakness, which causes people to test the weakness that you're sending out.
Its art of deterrence rests on 3 basic facts about war and human nature. First, people are more likely to attack you if they see you as weak or vulnerable. Second, they cannot know for sure that you're weak. They depend on the signs you give out through your behavior, both present and past. Third, they are after easy victories, quick and bloodless. That is why they prey on the vulnerable and weak.
It goes from a composure of being continually nervous to you knowing that you're willing to walk away if this person disrespects you, to you knowing you're willing to walk away if this person doesn't act right around you. And also, you're also showing people that the love and the respect that you give to people is based on what they give back to you, right? So that's the first thing. Know yourself. Know what you're willing to accept from people and what you're not willing to accept from people, and what are those consequences if somebody breaks those rules. The second one is carry yourself with respect and seriousness. So that means you got to imagine yourself as though you are somebody who's royalty, not with the arrogance, but carry yourself like royalty. Dress the best that you could dress. Even if you're poor, try to dress the best that you could dress. Keep your place as clean as possible. Walk with dignity. Don't walk with your back hunch. Walk with dignity. Walk as though you are destined for destiny. When you walk with a sense of destiny, when you know that you're meant for greatness, not with arrogance, not with a sense of superiority, but that you know that the universe has something set for you and that you're willing to work for it, people will begin to see how you see yourself. People will begin to treat you as such. That's what Christopher Columbus did. Christopher Columbus had an air that he was meant for greatness. Heck, he was the demands that he asked to be to come to America from someone who was poor and didn't have any resources. It was kind of extraordinary, and that's what made rich people and nobles give so much to him, because they saw he had a similar air of royalty like them.
The way you carry yourself will often determine how you are treated. In the long run, appearing vulgar or common will make people disrespect you. For a king respects himself and inspires the same sentiment in others. By acting regally and confident of your powers, you make yourself seem destined to wear a crown.
Right? If you want people of higher power to respect you, you gotta see yourself how they see themselves. See yourself as though you're meant for greatness, and it's gonna radiate from within. It's gonna marinate your senses, all of your face, the way you move. It's all gonna be marinated by that sense of destiny. The next thing is respect your words. Right? Never break your promises. There is something when you know that you don't live the life that you say you do, it does affect you. You are committing violence against yourself. I remember when I went to a 10-day meditation retreat. Halfway through, I wanted to get the hell out. I wanted to leave halfway through, right? But the only thing that kept me was that I didn't want to come back on my YouTube channel and say to people, hey, look, I know I tell people to follow through, and I know I tell people that, that never give up, but you know what? I did a meditation retreat and I didn't do it. And I said I was going to do it. I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to break my word, because I promised to keep my word. And above all, I didn't want to lie and say I didn't when I really didn't. You know how many people have said they completed those retreats and never really did? It's kind of insane how many people lie about that. That type of personal lack of integrity weighs heavy on me. And you can never trust your words. There is something that genuinely happens to your psyche whenever you break your word. So you tell people you're going to do something, and deep down you know you're not going to do it. You stop respecting yourself. And that's going to radiate outward, and people are going to sense that energy. And because humans imitate, if they sense that you don't respect yourself, what the hell you think is going to happen? They're going to start testing you, because you're sending signs of weakness by you not respecting yourself. It's so important to never break your promises, man. So important to never break your promises to yourself. There's a certain sense of pride and high self-esteem you feel when you learn to follow through on your words, because then people will know you. And also, never break your promises to people. If you say you're going to do something, do it. People don't respect people who don't follow through on their words. People don't. And they're going to talk about you as somebody who doesn't keep their words. And so you're going to be someone who has no integrity, especially if you're known as a liar, right? People don't respect that. They see you as conniving and sneaky. Even if they're forced to respect you because of your position, they don't respect that.
Reputation is the cornerstone of power. Through reputation alone, you can intimidate and win. Once it slips, however, you are vulnerable and will be attacked on all sides. Make your reputation unassailable. Always be alert to potential attacks and thwart them before they happen. Meanwhile, learn to destroy your enemies by opening holes in their own reputations. Then stand aside and let public opinion hang them.
And the next thing is becoming your own ecosystem of positive emotions. And that comes down to validating yourself. You got to understand, validation means when somebody validates you, what that really means is that they made you feel good about yourself, right? That's what that means. They made you feel good about yourself. When you validate yourself, you learn to make yourself feel good without having to think of anything. You just learn, and studies show that meditating, breathing, produces positive emotions. Meditation is self-validation. Meditation is self-love. So when you learn to meditate, your brain will begin to be able to learn how to handle more intense emotions. So that means deep pain, you're going to develop a tolerance for pain. Two, pain won't last as long as it did. So you're going to feel less pain. And also the pain is going to last a shorter duration. That's what studies show, right? So you're going to develop a resilience, an anti-fragile mind. And also a lot of the reasons why we allow disrespect is because we feel unhappy on the inside. The more unhappy and the lower your self-esteem, the more disrespect you're going to take, because you find comfort in just being around anyone who gives you any sort of attention. That is enough for you. That means you're selling yourself short. And people know that because they're buying your presence for cheap. And what do they do when you buy something that's cheap? You disrespect it. You throw it around. You treat it like trash. Yeah, that's right. You got it. So the key is to develop a habit of learning how to produce positive emotions from yourself so that you could stop clinging on to other people to make you feel good. That's a big burden you're putting on other people. So that you develop a meditation practice. Even Marcus Aurelius talked about this. Developing a deep meditation process creates an ecosystem of positive emotion that radiates from the outside. And humans are naturally attracted to people who have good emotions, who, when you're around them, by their mere presence, you feel at ease. And remember, emotions are contagious. So if you feel good about yourself, you're going to make other people feel good by just your presence. And that's going to make people gravitate towards you. And by you attracting so many people, it's going to have the aura of charisma, the aura of respect. And so that inspires respect because they see other people following you. They see other people treating you with respect. They see other people wanting your attention. And because humans are imitative creatures, if they see other people looking out for you and looking for your attention, people are going to assume you have something good to offer. And once they see you that you have something good to offer and good emotions, people are just going to gravitate towards you. And also the good emotion that you develop through meditation also insulates you against the bullshit that people throw at you, against people trying to lowball you. Because the only time you accept lowballs, the only time you accept disrespect is when you're not happy. That's why happiness is so important. Happiness is pretty much self-esteem. The lower your self-esteem, the more unhappy you are. The higher self-esteem, the more happy you are. And notice I'm not talking about having success and building up success to develop self-esteem. That is a form of self-esteem. I'm talking about at the root of high self-esteem is this type of self-esteem that doesn't require words or memories. It's a self-esteem that just arises from a meditation practice. Just observing your breath creates this type of effect. All right. And that's how, if you apply these strategies, being willing to walk away, which is the most important thing. Because if you're willing to walk away, that means you're able to be happy by yourself. That means that you don't need them that much. And when people can sense that you're willing to walk away, people will value you more. I remember I had an accountant who was tired of my bullshit. I always responded late. And I paid him a lot of money. And one time it took me a week to respond. And he was like, Alexis, I know you pay me a lot of money, but I can't do this no more. I got to drop you as a client. And I'm like, wait a minute. What do you mean, Neil? He was like, look, man, I have standards. You're always late to respond. And I got to drop you as a client. And I begged him not to drop me. And ever since then, I'm never late. And if I'm late, I really apologize. That's the power of being willing to walk away. That it also works in business and not just in your dating life, not just in your relationships, not just with friends. This willingness to walk away projects power and authority. Anyways, if you guys ever want to work with me one-on-one, go to mindfulattraction.org. I have a course called Charisma Blueprint. This course is literally teaching you how to create this type of respect. This course will teach you how to create two types of charisma that are so important. External charisma at a distance and face-to-face charisma, which a lot of people who are charismatic from a distance don't have. This is a 2-day course that I recorded in London, and it took me a year or two to come up with the content, but I know damn well that if you guys purchase it, anybody, no matter how boring you might be, will project charisma. Or if you don't have it, you will learn how to develop it. Trust me, if you don't like it, you can just ask for your money back and I'll give it to you. Anyways, I'll see you guys later. Oh, just click on the description down below. You'll see how to get it.